Overall, having this plant stand here has worked really well. There's just a couple little issues that we're running into aside from my giant mess back there. One is that when I'm watering, water tends to get on the back wall a little bit. I've tried to be really careful with it, but it still happens. I don't know if it's actually causing a problem underneath here on the floor. I am going to take everything off of these shelves, and then we're actually going to move the plant shelf so it's a couple inches off of the wall. And then I think I'm going to have this mat come up along the baseboard here a little bit too. So we're just going to check and make sure everything's okay under this. The wall itself seems fine. It's not a ton of water that's getting on it. We're mostly worried about the floor and the baseboard and all of that. And having it off the wall a little bit will make it easier for me to kind of get in and water some of these plants on the back side here, doing it from either the side or actually from behind, which should make it easier to not get water onto the floor. So I'm going to do that in addition to setting up a little repotting station right here. That way I can just easily repot succulents one at a time, not have to worry about getting all of my stuff out or making a big mess, but just being able to do it in little chunks. And part of that means that I'm also going to have to work on repotting all the stuff that's there first. There's not quite enough room between here and that door to put up a table, so we're going to scoot this just a little bit to the side, and that way we still have enough space to walk around it and enough space for a little table to go over here. It's all done and it looks so good. I'm surprised actually how much better this looks to me than it looked before. We did end up moving the whole plant stand and the mat. We shifted it over to this side a little bit. There was no damage or anything to the floor. Everything looked good, but we did still move the mat and just lean it up against the baseboard a little bit just in case. The one thing I did is I scrubbed all of these trays that my plants are on. And even though there's definitely still some dirt and hard water buildup, the black is so much blacker than it was, and it just looks so much cleaner than it did before. I did clean up over on this side. I mostly just moved everything out. But what I realized is this area is really high traffic. I don't actually want my potting set up here. Rather than putting the table here like I planned, I'm actually going to build a little potting station in my office, and I'll show you what that's going to look like. You get to see the full messy behind the scenes. This is where I typically take pictures of snappy pots. It's just in an area that's out of the way. No one's going to accidentally bump it. You'd have to very intentionally come in here and mess with it. I am going to convert this into the potting table. I'm really excited to have it here just because I'll be able to leave it up longer. I won't be quite as worried about how long the potting messes out. And it's close enough to the other area that it's not going to be a big deal to just walk some plants back and forth.